Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to jump into a fascinating deep dive.
Absolutely. Always love exploring new ways to up our game at work.
Today's topic is definitely different from our usual productivity hacks. We're talking about the power of language.
Ooh, that's interesting. I can already tell this will be good.
Right, I wouldn't have thought it was that big of a deal, but this source we found, it really digs into the linguistics side of things.
Linguistics, huh? So we're not just talking about using proper grammar.
Exactly. It's more about how the way we use language actually plays out in the real world, especially at work, and how those everyday words have a much bigger impact than we realize.
Okay, now that you mention it, I can see where this is going. Think about all those daily interactions, like team meetings, those quick chats by the coffee machine, even just firing off emails. Those words add up.
They really do. And this is where the source blew my mind.
Right.
It's not just about being nice or anything. It's that language isn't just us expressing our thoughts. It's literally shaping them and influencing those around us at the same time.
Mhm.
Wild, right?
Okay, yeah, it's kind of blowing my mind a little too. It's like,
Yeah,
how many times have you walked away from a conversation and realized your mood totally shifted based on how someone phrased something?
all the time. So
Yeah.
how do we use this to our advantage? There's a really interesting study highlighted in the source about the impact of positive language in the workplace. Turns out, it's not just about being polite. It can actually create a whole different vibe that boosts productivity and collaboration.
Right, because it creates this more encouraging and appreciative environment, and people actually feed off that energy.
So instead of saying something like, here's the plan, let's do it, it's more about, what are your thoughts on this,
Yeah.
to make people feel more involved.
Exactly. It's those small shifts that make people feel heard and valued, which then leads to a more positive and engaged team overall.
It's like that saying, people don't always remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel.
100%. And that takes us to another point this source made that I found super interesting, the difference between saying I'll try versus I will. Seems minor, but the impact is huge.
Huge. It seems like such a small change, but when you think about it, I'll try. Sounds wishy-washy, like you might not even really try at all.
And that makes it easy to let things slide, but I will, that's powerful. It's a commitment to yourself and everyone else that you're going to get it done.
It's like signing a mental contract, making you way more accountable to actually follow through.
Totally. And this ties into another crucial aspect of language at work, especially when it comes to teamwork, which, let's face it, can be a challenge.
Oh, tell me about it. It seems like no matter how great a team is, there's always something.
Always. But the source offered some really practical advice here. It emphasized active listening, asking clear questions, and practicing empathy.
All those things we've heard before, but they made this great point. These aren't just like personality traits that you either have or you don't.
They're linguistic habits, skills you can actually practice and improve over time, just like anything else.
I love that. So it's less about who we are and more about what we do with our words.
Absolutely. For example, instead of just nodding along in a meeting, actively use phrases like, just to clarify, or, can you tell me more about that? It shows you're really present and engaged.
Instead of just waiting for your turn to speak, you're part of the conversation.
Exactly. And remember how we talked about positive language having this ripple effect? It plays a huge role in teamwork, too.
Makes sense. People are much more likely to contribute their best ideas when they feel heard and respected.
Right. Which leads to better solutions, a more positive environment. It's a win-win all around.
It's amazing how we go from the science of linguistics to these super practical tips for better communication, all thanks to the power of language.
It really is. I mean, think about how much we underestimate the impact of those words we use every single day.
Absolutely. So as you head back to work, here's something I want you to think about. What's one small change you can make to your language today to put all this into action?
Maybe it's swapping out I'll try for a more powerful I will. Or maybe it's about consciously adding more positive phrases to your interactions.
Even the smallest changes can create big shifts in our work lives. That's it for today's deep dive. Catch you on the next one.